All right. I am so jazzed today, you guys, because, we live in such an interesting society these days. Over the past 2 years, we've had a lot of opportunity to learn some very invaluable lessons, right? Some we didn't want to learn, and some we were forced to learn, right?
Right.
So today we are actually going to chat about something that you may not considered into a perspective, because how many have really taken into consideration when we work for a job? It's one thing when we're enterprising ourselves and actually deciding how we want to work and what we want to invest in. We then are working a business. And that said, girls and boys, you got to protect your your assets. So today I'm with a very special guest who actually helps people do just that, because a lot of times, I'm going to read this straight out the book, you guys. It's not coming from my brains. I'm borrowing some brains. And I got this book from Amoya. So, because there are new rules of the game. And if you're playing with the old rules, there's a reason why you may not have game. So let's take a look at one thing that kind of stood out to me, and I thought it's worth talking about. We need to choose a strategy. And I'm going to say it's really slow, and I talk fast, so this takes a lot of work. We need to choose a strategy that addresses the risk, so we can put the fun back into functional and actually eliminate what we actually allowed to create some dysfunction. So finances plays a big role in that, and how you protect your assets, given that it all ties into your finances, has a big role in how you grow and how you get to groom and how you get to gain. So here to talk with me today about that is Amoya. She is helping more people protect their assets and build their wealth. And so I thought today it'd be worth having a conversation with her. Can you get excited with me? Woo!
Oh, hi.
Yes, because would you agree, Amalia, when you protect your assets, you can have a lot more fun, because you're not sitting there in this emotional stress of now trying to figure out what you're going to do in the middle of a calamity. You can figure out what you're going to do before that actually occurs.
Correct.
All right?
Correct.
Or actually, I
Correct.
could be wrong. That's why I have an expert here.
I mean, the whole thing is understanding that, we have to plan. And
yes.
Planning is the strategy. And when you plan, you have peace of mind. You're able to really be the creative thinker for your dream business, as opposed to trying to figure it all out as you're going along, without the right foundation. So taking the time to understand the strategies. And if you don't understand it, there are people who do, and be okay with accepting that help, and be okay with paying for it, because you know what? There's enough for everyone, and everything that goes around comes around. So
you got to just decide how you want to pay. Do you want to pay in a stressful way, or do you want to pay in the pursuit of passion and profit type of way? Which way do you want to pay or play?
Exactly. So so we really have to be very, very serious, and I must stress serious, especially now, as you said, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have been brought to the open that many of us weren't aware of before, just because of the last 2 years that we've had to, really experience some things and really change how we do business. So it's time to really begin to see different aspects of what we're offered, and how they tie into what you want to do, and make sure you're strategically thinking about how you want to grow and expand. You're strategically thinking of how you want to, you have your cash flow, and also thinking of how you're protected, because anything can happen. I mean, even as a job, the job has insurance, right? I mean, there's some certain things that happen at work, and then you hear about workers' comp, you hear about all these kind of different ways that the job has protected itself.
Right.
So you as a business owner, even establishing that business, how are you protected? How are your assets in place? I don't care if your business is home-based and all you're doing is baking cookies. Still,
Yes.
let's get the basics in place so you can have some fun.
Yes. And let's talk about that, because we were actually having an amazing conversation before, because some of you know I help people with managing part of their assets when they decide to buy a home and actually rent it out. And that goes along with a certain type of risk. So my job is to help people understand, here's where there may be some risk, here's where there may be some minimal risk. And so this is what we need to do to minimize the risk. So that said, you know, whenever you are going from yourself and going to an enterprise, you are actually stepping into a little bit higher of a risk. And that said, you can actually determine a strategy that best addresses the risk.
Right.
And the best way to do that in a lot of ways is to borrow somebody else's brain. So you don't have to have all the answers. You can actually know people who have answers.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
So
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. So, I mean, let's take a basic example.
I love examples.
I
love to play.
I have a house. I want to start buying property, like you said. And I buy one property and I put it in an LLC.
Yes.
So the property has its own LLC. But who is behind the LLC?
That's
Me.
you.
Just me, right?
Yes.
And so I have a tenant inside, and my tenant slips on my wooden floor because I just shined it, made it really nice and pretty for them, you know, because I want to make it.
They're all into presentation.
Exactly. So my tenant moves in, you know, someone spills water in the process, sometime maybe having a party, and either my tenant or someone or a guest there slips, and they decide to sue for, you know, the injuries and everything. Who in that situation do you think they will be after?
They're gonna go to you.
Thank you. Why are they going to go to me? Because
you were their point of contact.
Thank you.
For
I'm
one.
the sole owner. I'm
Yes.
the sole person responsible for that LLC. So in
Yes.
that case, even though I had a company, I have not properly structured to take advantage of not only the tax benefits, but the asset protection benefits that the business should have had if it was properly planned.
Yes. And let's talk about that a little bit, because there was a post that you put out when I was kind of in between.
Mhm.
And I just said, you know, that's what we're talking about. I had a few minutes to read it, which was good, because sometimes it's amazing how you can be running a little behind and be stressed. And then you realize, like, in that running behind, something just occurred,
Something
like a
comes up.
miracle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you said
So
something
you see
that was so profound.
So that's what I'm saying. Is you just take your time every time,
Yes.
because you're not running behind, or are you know, you're there, you're where you should be when you should
Yes.
be, you know, just take it easy.
Yes, because you said something so profound, and I want to really make sure, and I'm going to say this slow because everybody knows I talk fast because I get excited when something is said that's worth exploring more.
Yeah.
But you said, own nothing, but control everything. And now that's a big play on words, and that's kind of a fun statement. So can you tell us a little bit more, because we just kind of touched on it a little bit, why that's so important?
It's important in two ways. First, you protect yourself, you protect your assets. Secondly, it allows you to transfer tax responsibilities, let it flow through in a way that you pay what you need to pay, but you're not paying too much.
Yes.
You know? And that way you're able to, how many of us wouldn't want to have some like $4,000 savings on our, you know, on our tax responsibilities to our businesses? It all has to do with how the business is structured. So let's go back to our example. Let's say we have the one single member LLC that you formed for your company. But in addition to that and that LLC, maybe you probably have, in addition to that single member LLC, I should say, you now go ahead and also form a corporation. But the corporation is not owned just by you alone, probably also by your spouse and another entity called a trust. So so one of those entities will also be owners. So the entity you've now formed, that corporation, becomes owner of the LLC. So you're allowing the risks in the LLC to pass through into the corporation, such that there's protection from the trust.
Yes.
That process.
And the trust kind of actually acts as a protection as well.
Yes.
Because I remember when I had this, there was a transaction that I had, and me and the both realtors were joking about this because we're like, man, you can't make this stuff up. The owners basically kind of decided that the wife was going to be the one taking care of the finances, and she put the home that was on the market in a trust. And she actually had some medical emergency, and she started to fall into the category of dementia. And we were in a transaction, the property was under a trust, and the bank was like, we can't do anything until this trust is removed. So that's how I learned about trust. I learned about it in a weird way because I realized it was like a block and a protection. Correct. It didn't allow anything to happen until that trust was removed.
There's really two types of trust. There's the revocable and irrevocable. So it all depends again on what you're trying to build in order to choose which one you're going to use. Now, one you can't pierce at all. It's not possible. Only the beneficiaries and everything, So these are the kind of things that we talk about that even as small business owners, even as solopreneurs, we need to start thinking about. We need to make sure we put these things in place, earlier on, so that we can have fun doing what we want to do. A lot of times when we do that, we save money. And when you save money, you're increasing your cash flow. There's so many ways of taking what has always been there, that people who are, doing well, that we hear about, that we talk about. I don't want to mention names because I believe everyone has an opportunity to do well.
Yes.
But they sit down and look at these strategies and utilize it for themselves. And it's not expensive. I mean, a lot of times you find that maybe your tax person or your lawyer, they're not talking to each other. So you want to make sure you're in a position of having people who understand these strategies, but also have in their camps attorneys and accountants who understand, who know how to carry and help you protect your assets.
Yes, this is so important. And I want to check in with our audience, and I want to just share with people, just ask a thought-provoking question. How many of you want to live your life paying more taxes for the things that you own? I just want to get a show of comments on this one, because most of us don't. We think that Uncle Sam is in our pocket already too much, right? We're like, Uncle Sam, you need to play in somebody else's pocket, not
And I must say very quickly, really, the trust not only helps to protect your business, but also protects your personal assets. Because you see, the will alone cannot do it. There are so many taxes that may have to be paid on some tangible assets if they're not protected by a trust. The will does not protect them. The will says, okay, pay this to this person, do this to that person, gives instructions. But within that, if things are not protected properly, you still end up paying taxes on tangible assets. So if you don't want to do that at all, the best way to do it is put it in a trust.
Yes.
And you find that it's not penetrable. It's assets that you can access once the owner of the trust has passed, you don't have to, go and ask for special permission, as you have to do with a will. So a lot of these strategies that we talk about help you build a legacy.
That's really interesting.
You're not just creating the foundation for your business, but you're at the same time, you're looking at the longevity of the business, your longevity of your family, and saying, okay, how are all these going to, transfer and be protected and still be there to help maybe my grandchildren, in their own journey.
And that is so important. And I want to invite everybody to have a, even just a small conversation. I know you're on my calendar, or you're in my list of people to have a conversation with, because we do property management, but we also help people with creating investment strategies through real estate. So that said, one of the things I learned, because I'm also part of a network of investors, we learned the importance of putting in the right trust in place, getting an LLC. And then it's just a matter of knowing who to connect with to get those things in place. And so I want to invite you guys, if you own a business and you work from home, or if you want to make buying home and investing in home a business, either way, you need to really look at how to protect those things moving forward, because life happens. And when it does, it doesn't have to create dysfunction. It doesn't have to create mental illness. It doesn't have to create health issues. It has the potential to help you really sharpen your pencil. And there's a term I'm looking for, because when you actually make gold goes under a pressure, a refiner's fire, in a good way, and then its value increases in a good way.
Yeah.
So you can take your situation and go through that same valuable experience of developing an asset and actually minimizing your risk at the same time. So I invite you to explore those options. And she even has a group on Facebook. Can you tell us where they can start the journey of learning more about how to protect their assets and build their assets, become an asset?
Yes, please.
Say that word a little longer, because I don't get to curse at home because I have kids. So I've learned how to bridle my mouth a little differently.
I know. I'm happy to talk to anyone who is open. Portia's group. You're all welcome to join my group. Let's Talk Business, Learning and Networking for Entrepreneurs, where I share resources on these kind of strategies we're talking about. I share resources on grants. I share resources on loans. And it's a fun community where you give and receive in return. And, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, just message me. I'm open and available to really have these conversations, because I believe we should be in business to thrive.
Yes, and especially now.
And not be in business to become sick and become, disturbed and all that. So let's get together. Hey.
Yes, and this is one of my whys, because when you don't have kids, you really don't think about these things. But when you do have kids, you have to not only think about your individual future, but theirs too.
Yes.
And if we can build a foundation to build a legacy, then everybody gets to enjoy each other even more. So awesome. And I want to encourage everybody. I'm going to actually put the love links in the chat, social links, as well as your group link, and then your calendar link, so that people have a way to get in touch with you and chat with you.
Okay.
All right. So
we'll do that. Yes.
I appreciate your wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait, because we're about ready to look into a few options, and we need to have a conversation, my husband and me, with you.
Okay.
So we'll go from there. And I actually had a brief little meeting with him. I told him who I was talking to. He's like, yeah, we need to talk to her. I'm like, I'm already running late. So
I am more than happy. Yeah.
Yes, because family to family, mom to mom, we want to make sure that your future is bright and continues to be bright as we
Right,
look
yes.
at the best strategies to help you minimize the type of risk that you may have based on the way you're building your brand and your business. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and I have a special gift for you that I'm going to share, and a special gift for anybody who actually comments on this post, by the way. So, because we want to help you build an asset
Yes.
and become an asset. That's
Yeah.
our two goals for you by having these kind of conversations. So thank you once again. And we're going to do this again, by the way. And we may even challenge people in a challenge to explore ways to take what they've already got in place and make it even better.
Better, correct.
So
Right.
cheddar can be much better.
Yes, there's always room. There's always room for improvement.
If you
know.
borrow a brain so that you can retrain your circumstances to thrive and grow from there. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
Awesome. I appreciate you.
And you as well. Thank you so much for the space and your
Thank
energy.
you.
And
Thank
just
you.
wanting to share and, let everyone thrive. That is wonderful.
That's what we're doing. We survived, and now it's time to thrive out of what we learned.
Yeah, yes.
Amen.